Hello, my name is Sarah Pritchard. I'm currently pursuing a specialist in instructional technology from Kennesaw State University. I've taught mathematics for the past 7 years at Forsyth Central High School. In that short time, I've seen how fast education, specifically educational technology, has changed. Thank you for watching my capstone presentation on implementing effective online assessment. I started teaching virtual AP statistics in the 2019-2020 school year. At the time, much of my assessment was through AP Classroom because of the lockdown browser feature and an overall rigor level equivalent to that of the AP exam. I didn't run into much ineffective online assessment at the time, but when many schools went hybrid or virtual in 2020-2021 school year, I started teaching on-level mathematics classes in an online setting. The resources were not readily available and I was having trouble with my assessment. I didn't feel like I was getting a genuine gauge for my students' understanding of mathematics content standards. Because of the nature of mathematics, many students were able to look up solutions. Not only was I struggling to gauge students' understanding, but I also didn't feel like I was assessing at a higher level. When students are given multiple choice questions, they often just click a random response, so many of my online assessments were not serving the role of identifying student learning deficiencies. With so many unknowns of the school year, I believed it was critical to find ways to assess students and provide feedback so that the students were showing what they truly knew and not what they could look up on the internet. Assessment does not have to be limited to multiple choice questions, but extended response questions where students can explore multiple solutions that require creativity and critical thinking. With my capstone project, I chose 2 online platforms to explore formative and summative assessments, Desmos and GoFormative. Both platforms allow teachers to create assessments online presented in multiple forms. More importantly, students can receive timely feedback to help identify misconceptions. My main focus for my capstone project was with geometry, since I'm the design team lead, and my students overall have struggled with success over the last 3 years in this content area. When implementing new technology, one major component is the professional development piece for helping teachers feel confident with utilizing the digital tool in the classroom. Therefore, I spent a lot of my time researching and developing professional development to support teachers through the capstone experience. I designed the project so that teachers could implement more feedback with research shown is proven to support student achievement. I increased teacher buy-in by showing a breakdown of student results on the spring 2021 final exam. However, I didn't feel it was enough to create online assessment. I also felt it was necessary for teachers to explore various questions that ultimately led to higher order thinking skills. I chose Bloom's taxonomy as my format for evaluating questioning and for creation of future questions. I broke down the level of questioning on the spring 2021 final and found that almost all questions were level 1, remember. Even so, students' achievement was not impressive. I hope that students would perform better on summative assessments by increasing higher order thinking throughout the school year. Again, to support teachers in integrating Bloom's taxonomy, I provided in-depth teacher training and evaluation. The capstone in its entirety took 9 months. To evaluate the capstone project effectively, I first needed an initial data starting point to compare results. Therefore, I analyzed the final exam for spring 2021 and broke down results for the 4 on-level geometry teachers. After providing professional development on Desmos, GoFormative, and Bloom's taxonomy, I had teachers create formative assessments weekly on the 2 platforms. Teachers collected data on their students and provided feedback on assessment results. Teachers were expected to implement level 4 through level 6 on Bloom's taxonomy questions, created collaboratively as a design team to measure and compare data across the 4 geometry teachers. Questions were written in Bloom's, apply, understand, and remember were evaluated as either incorrect or correct. Creating, evaluating, and analyzing questions required more extensive assessment to compare results. Thus, the teachers created a rubric to assess correctness, used consistently across all teachers. Quantitative data was collected on student achievement of the assessments. Qualitative data was collected on the types of feedback given to students through the teachers to gauge teachers' opinions on the implementation of Desmos, GoFormative, and Bloom's taxonomy. Here's an example of a question written into the GoFormative platform. Students are asked to compare the volumes of 2 shapes with different dimensions, which requires an extensive understanding of volume and multiplicative properties. After evaluating the spring 2021 final exam, I found that majority of the questions were level 1. The assessment had a 36% failure rate. After researching and creating professional development, I found it essential to get all the teachers on the same page. Each design team member knew the goal of the project and the rationale for choosing Desmos and GoFormative. Thus, I started professional development by having teachers review final exam results and develop a common goal that would align with their TEKS goals. I intended to provide one-on-one coaching to create instructional materials that aligned with assessment goals. Still, because this was the first year that many teachers used Desmos and GoFormative, I found that I had to deviate from my initial plan and troubleshoot technical creation on the two platforms. When creating on GoFormative, I noted funding barriers that would eliminate my use of full access to the platform, so many functions were not accessible to the geometry teachers. After completing professional development and overcoming barriers, we spent many geometry design team meetings creating all levels of Bloom's questioning. I emphasized to the team the importance of aligning instructional strategies with assessment levels to ensure student success. I provided my students with feedback through audio recordings on the learning management systems and coached other teachers on their feedback strategies as well. Finally, I analyzed student achievement results. After implementing the capstone and comparing results with the spring 2021 final, I found that students scored 8% higher on accuracy for level 1, 4% higher for level 2, and 5% for level 3 Bloom's questions. I also saw more participation in all classes of questioning. Before the capstone, I noted that many students would leave more rigorous questions blank, but every one of my students attempted all questions of each assessments I gave this year. Finally, we discussed the results of the capstone and agreed that the questioning was overall successful and the implementation of the project increased collaboration with the design team for geometry. Here's some feedback from the educators that I work with on the geometry design team.
As far as Desmos, at first I wasn't really comfortable using new stuff like that. I'm kind of an old traditionalist. But once I tried it, the students enjoy it, and it also gives me very good feedback. So I'm a Desmos fan.
I like to use Desmos in my classes. First of all, to be able to watch how kids work through problems and to give them feedback and see how they're doing and assess how they're doing as we go. Specifically for more rigorous style questions, Desmos allows us to add in the scaffolding components by having sketches and hints and breaking down the question a little bit more and including visual components as well. And we also get to see how they are engaging with that content in real time so we can support them throughout the process of approaching a rigorous question.
Desmos is really helpful to be able to just set something out to where the students can work at their own pace, and you can see if there's any common misconceptions among all students or just individualized where a student is maybe struggling with a certain type of problem that they are. You can see that right away, and so that instant feedback is really beneficial to be able to help students develop as they go and not wait until a quiz or a test to help them on the back end, but to be able to help them on the front side of things.
Hey, I really enjoyed GoFormative because I like the way they presented the data so I could analyze my kids, my students, as far as their progress.
Desmos is really fun and it helps me practice more and it makes me go at my own pace.
It helps me get feedback from the teacher.
I like that I know if I get the answer right.
I like being able to use a phone or a computer.
Overall, the capstone project allowed me to grow as a leader by coaching teachers on strategies to increase student achievement. I learned about effective professional development and the importance of ongoing support for teachers who implement new technology for the first time. I deepened my understanding of effective online feedback and created personalized learning experiences. I used data-driven results to create more effective questioning strategies and identified students' strengths and weaknesses. So often, teachers think that more simple assessments will create higher student success. However, after implementing all 6 levels of Bloom's taxonomy, I found students showed higher achievement when challenged, and teachers set high expectations for their students. After analyzing data for my at-risk of failing students, those students were more successful when pushed into thinking creatively and critically. The capstone was a positive experience and led to more effective instructional and assessment strategies that can be utilized in the future. I'm very appreciative of all who contributed to the successful implementation of the capstone project. The geometry design team was very willing to assist me with creating assessment questions and providing feedback to their students. Thank you for watching my capstone project video. Whatever challenges educators face with online instruction, effective assessment is achievable when we collaborate and set high expectations for our students.